When we think of Thomas Jefferson, we think of liberty. He was the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, the document that declared all men are created equal. Those words ignited a revolution and shaped the identity of a new nation. Jefferson became the intellectual face of freedom, a philosopher of rights, reason, and resistance against tyranny. But behind the powerful language stood a complicated reality. Jefferson was not only a statesman and thinker, he was also a slaveholder. Over the course of his lifetime, he enslaved more than 600 people. The man who challenged the moral authority of the British Empire participated in a system that denied freedom to hundreds. This contradiction sits at the heart of his legacy. Was Jefferson a product of his era, trapped in a system he could not escape? Or was he a man who understood the injustice, yet chose comfort, wealth, and social order over principle? From the beginning, the story of Jefferson is not one of simple heroism. It is a story of ideals tested by power and the uneasy space between belief and action. At his Virginia estate, Monticello, Jefferson designed more than a home. He built a symbol of Enlightenment thinking, architecture inspired by reason, symmetry, and classical beauty. Visitors saw refinement and intellect, but beneath that elegance was forced labor. Monticello functioned because enslaved men, women, and children worked its fields, kitchens, and workshops. Their labor funded Jefferson's lifestyle and political career. Among them was Sally Hemings, an enslaved woman who lived in close proximity to Jefferson's private quarters. For decades, historians debated the nature of their relationship. In 1998, DNA evidence strongly supported the conclusion that Jefferson fathered several of Hemings' children. The power imbalance between them makes the question of consent deeply troubling. Can consent exist where freedom does not? Monticello represents more than architectural brilliance. It represents the paradox of a man who spoke of human liberty while maintaining ownership over human lives. Behind the columns and gardens stood a system of dependency and control, a hidden world rarely included in the myth. Jefferson's contradictions extended beyond practice into theory. In his book, Notes on the State of Virginia, he reflected on race and slavery in ways that continue to disturb historians. He questioned whether black people were equal in intellectual ability and expressed doubts about coexistence between races in a free society. Though he condemned slavery as morally troubling, he also speculated about supposed biological differences. These ideas were framed as observations, but they carried intellectual authority. Jefferson was not an obscure writer, he was a founding figure of a nation. His words would echo far beyond his lifetime. Later generations would cite such arguments to justify segregation, inequality, and systemic racism. Whether intentional or not, Jefferson helped shape conversations about race in America's formative years. Was he grappling honestly with a problem he could not solve, or was he reinforcing the very hierarchies he claimed to question? His writings reveal a mind wrestling with contradiction, yet never fully breaking from the system that benefited him. Ideas matter, and Jefferson's ideas left a legacy as complex as the man himself. Jefferson's presidency is often praised for the Louisiana Purchase, a bold acquisition that doubled the size of the United States. It was strategic and visionary, securing land that would shape America's future power. On paper, it was a triumph, but expansion is never neutral. The lands acquired were home to numerous Native American tribes. As settlers moved westward, pressure mounted on indigenous communities. Jefferson publicly spoke of peaceful integration, yet privately supported policies that encouraged removal if tribes resisted assimilation. The language was diplomatic, the outcome was disruptive. Expansion brought opportunity for some and instability for others. The seeds planted during Jefferson's era would later grow into more aggressive removal policies. While he did not implement the mass expulsions that followed decades later, his vision of continental growth helped set the stage. Was this nation-building or the quiet normalization of empire?
The line between progress and dispossession was thin, and Jefferson stood directly upon it. On July 4, 1826, exactly 50 years after the Declaration of Independence, Jefferson died. The timing felt symbolic, almost poetic, a revolutionary author passing on the anniversary of his most famous words. Yet history rarely offers simple endings. Jefferson left behind a nation built on ideals of liberty and equality, but also shaped by compromise and contradiction. His achievements are undeniable, his influence is immense, and so are the moral questions. Today, debates over his statues, writings, and memory reflect a broader struggle. How should societies remember flawed founders? Is greatness erased by hypocrisy, or does complexity deepen understanding? Jefferson was neither pure villain nor untouchable hero. He was a brilliant thinker who expanded democratic ideals and a man who failed to fully apply them. His life forces a difficult recognition. The architects of freedom were not free from moral failure.